Madam Speaker, representatives of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, DHTA, requested a review of the fiscal incentive regime under which concessions are granted to investors. The DHTA submitted a list of the measures which it identified as critical and necessary to increasing investments in the sector, ensuring profitability of tourism enterprises, guaranteeing quality service delivery, and safeguarding sustainable jobs. I can report that a committee comprising representatives of both the private and public sectors deliberated on these matters and submitted recommendations for the consideration of the government. As a result of these deliberations, Cabinet approved a number of new concessions to the hotel sector. These include the following: amendments to the VAT Act to include the exemption of VAT on meals to hotel resort employees provided free of charge. This matter was strongly put forward by the private sector as necessary for ensuring quality service. Amendments to the VAT Act to zero-rate complimentary rooms provided by hotels and resorts for select approved marketing activities. Amendments to the VAT Act to include exemptions on capital goods for mixed-use resorts developments, where part of the development will occur after the commencement of operations. This means that for a hotel which is being constructed in phases, a VAT exemption will be enjoyed on those phases not yet completed, even when the completed phases are in operation. This will apply to approved developments. Amendments to the Income Tax Act to accommodate exemptions on withholding tax on rental income of villa owners for a period of 10 years. The villa must be held for at least 3 years before change of ownership. This will apply, again, Madam Speaker, to approved developments. Amendments to the Income Tax Act for an exemption from the payment of income tax on the rental income on villas for a period of 10 years. The villa must be held for at least 3 years before change of ownership. Introduction of a residential levy of $2,000 per annum on all villa owners. This levy applies only to villas in approved developments. New legislation will be introduced in Parliament to allow for the sale of timeshare, condominium, and fractional ownership. Amendment to the Alien Landholding License Act 17 of 1995 to reflect the following fee structure for approved developments. In place of the license fee of 10% of the market value of the subject of the license, a flat fee of $5,000 will be applied, in addition to an application fee of $1,000. Approved developments are defined as proposals that meet the requirements outlined in the Hotels 8 Act with a minimum investment of $3 million EC. Such projects should commence construction within 1 year following the approval by the Physical Planning Division. Failure to begin within the stipulated time without a reasonable excuse will result in a penalty of $2,000. Amendment to Section 8 of the Stamp Act, Chapter 6801. A definition of the term related parties is to be included in the Act to provide for a transfer between an individual to a company where the individual owns at least 25% of the shares of that company, and transfer from a first company to a second company where the first company owns at least 25% of the shares of the second company. Further, there will be a reduction in fees to encourage transfers between related parties as well as in new qualifying projects. The changes in fees are as follows: stamp duty reduced to 2.5% from 4%. Vendor's fee reduced to 0% from 2.5%. Judicial fee reduced to 1% from 2.5%. And there's no change to the assurance fund of 1%. The above shall apply to new qualifying projects except the vendor's fee, which shall remain at 2.5%. It is expected that the legislative amendments required will be submitted for the consideration of the Parliament shortly. So, Madam Speaker, this is an exhaustive list of measures to benefit the tourism industry and create more jobs in the country. I believe we may have approved every request made by the DHTA in that regard, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank the new Minister of Tourism, Honorable Tom, for his leadership and guidance.